Hey guys, I am using the S24 Ultra for a few days. I have my SIM card inside, although I have multiple SIMs. I'm also using Vivo X100 Pro and also the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I put one of my SIMs inside this phone just to show you guys the improvements and what changes Samsung bought for us. So it will be a very detailed and it will require a little bit of time to cover most of the things I think what consumers care. Not very techie aspect because I think average consumers, they care some of the very basic stuffs which should be covered in this video, but those like 1% or less than 1% consumers, probably they won't care about these things, but I may or may not be able to cover those because it will be a very long video. Okay, first of all, I think we'll go with the screen. It's a flat screen, so nothing has changed since S23 Ultra. You get the same cable in the box, SIM injector tool. How about this case from Amazon? MagSafe works depending on the location of this ring. If it's too low, it won't work. If it's a little high, it will work like this. Because I bought 3 cases, 2 of them didn't work, this one worked. It doesn't support MagSafe. I bought this color, which is very close to the titanium color of my iPhone 15 Pro Max. So as you can see, the screen glare is much better. When the screen is off, you can see there is a matte coating. It's my hypothesis. I think there must be a coating inside the screen just to prevent the increased glare. So today is not a very sunny day, so the comparison won't be exactly as what you have seen with Vivo X100 Pro, but we are getting rain for the next 4 or 5 days, so I'll rather do it now just to make sure you don't spend your hard-earned money for a device you don't like or which doesn't fit your standards. So I had to get this device from AT&T. It's a carrier device, not unlocked directly from Samsung, but again, it will serve my purpose to explain everything to you. So the good thing about the screen, it's bright enough. Manual brightness, you can see it can go as high as Samsung advertised 2600 nits. Of course not. That is only meant for high dynamic range videos, Dolby Vision videos. But these is more than enough for any bright sunlight. And in auto mode, auto adaptive brightness, when you go outside the sunlight, it will crank it up towards 2600. Maybe not exactly 2600, all parts of the screen, but some parts. And it won't be able to sustain that kind of brightness for a longer period of time, just to make sure. The adaptive color tone is similar to the iPhone's the color tone, natural color tone. It will keep on changing the color tone throughout the day, probably during, like, after dusk. It will slowly turn towards yellow. As you can see now, because of the ambient light color, it turned a little yellow now. But when I turn it off, you get a more blue light, so more whitish. So depending on your preference, I prefer it like this. I don't prefer my screen to be too yellow unless I'm watching any content or reading any article at night. But the plus thing about this flat screen, everybody has a preference. I prefer flat screen because I run. I have kids. I have dogs, so I run outside. I have to work. I have to always constant on the go. I prefer screen which is flat because I have to buy a screen protector, a tempered glass that can protect my screen. With curved screen, it is almost impossible to find a good tempered glass screen protector. And usually they don't stay for too long. So thank you, Samsung, for a flat screen. I know some of you might be pissed, might not like it. But again, people, I think average consumers, they might prefer flatter screen more to curved screen. Because flatter screen, although you may have the feeling that you are holding a very wider phone, but Samsung worked with this phone. I feel the weight distribution has improved quite a lot from S23 Ultra because you feel the phone to be a little lighter, although the difference is only 1 or 2 grams with the S23 Ultra. But you feel the phone lighter. You of course feel the phone a little boxy. That's how the Note series has been, or the S22, 23 Ultra has been. But you see all throughout, you won't be able to, instead of metal frame, since we have titanium, you won't be able to see a lot of smudges. We have the millimeter wave band, antenna band here in the US. Probably places where you don't have it, you won't have it. Buttons are more tactile, clicky. I hope you can hear it. The tactile feedback, vibration feedback hasn't changed. I prefer it to keep it in the middle. I'll show you. Here is it. Vibration intensity. So I prefer keeping it in the middle because that way you get the balance. But since they are not as tight as the Oppo or the Vivo or other gaming flagships, usually when it's too high, you feel they're a little not tight, a little loose. Especially the feedback you're getting off the keyboard while typing. I prefer keeping it on the middle. It's up to you. First of all, I'll show you the dynamic range of the camera. As you can see here, this is 2 times. We'll go with the 1 time. See, I think this is because of the pre-release software and we don't have any sun here, so it looks like a little blown out. When you zoom in, you see a lot of grains. I hope you can see when you zoom into the photo. And go to the ultra wide. I just want to see the corner sharpness of this lens. Again, when I zoom out, you can see a lot of grains in the corners. This is where Vivo and Oppo shines because of a superior ultra-wide sensor and the use of better lens. Everywhere you see grains with ultra-wide. If I go to the 3 times, which is optical, I still see grains. I hope you can understand the difference. If you have seen my Vivo X100 Pro video, then you know it what I'm saying. If I go to the 5 times, there's also an optical zoom. See, the grains disappeared. Because I think Samsung used a better sensor, 50 megapixel, for the 5 times. I think the grains are much better controlled here. The shrubs look a little mushy, but I think still much better than what we used to have on the S23 Ultra, because I think it's an upgrade, a much better upgrade. We'll go with the 10 times. Again, now you see it takes a bit of processing time, and then the color temperature changes a lot once you zoom into 10 times. So the 10 times zoom, they use the 5 times telephoto camera, and then the color temperature changes. So Samsung has to push an update to be consistent with color temperature with all the lenses. I think it has a lot of work to do. Again, I cannot compare like this. Probably it will take a few software updates to fix all these issues. I'm pretty sure Samsung will improve like what S23 Ultra improved over the past year. But again, now with the pre-release software, I think Samsung has a lot of work to do here. So we'll see the macro photography. Again, I can show you. If you come close, the focus enhancer is on. It is only able to use the ultra wide camera for the focus enhancer. And I take a photo here. Again, you can see it's not as good as the Vivo's because it cannot take a telemacro shot. You cannot use the telephoto, take a shot. Once you take a telephoto, take a shot, it will be over sharpening. The corners are not as good as Vivo. So since it's not dedicated telephoto camera is not dedicated to take a macro shot. So I don't think you can be able to compare with Vivo's. Vivo is much superior. So, but again, if you don't care about telemacro, you don't care about it. So this is not a very big upgrade from what Samsung S23 Ultra had given us. But again, I feel Samsung, Apple, Google, they don't want to bring a lot of improvements because of the market. Because if you know, Samsung, they are more dominant in Korea, in America, and some parts of Europe. Unlike Vivo, Oppo, they are more dominant in Chinese market. So they know they have their market. They are not much worried about that their market will be taken away by Chinese flagships. So hardware-wise, Samsung is much inferior to Vivo or Oppo or Chinese flagships. They try to make it up with software, but again, you cannot beat physics. Cloudy day, I can only show you how is the dynamic range according to the situation here. Once I take a shot, it's a clean shot, pre-release software. You probably would be able to see a little more difference when they push out few updates, maybe after March or April. But again, as of now, it's okay. Still very good, comparable with Google Pixel and iPhones, but not as good as Vivo with dynamic range. I take the ultra wide shot. It takes a while to process, but again, you see, the clarity is not as good as Vivo's. Corner sharpness, you see the details, but a lot of noise on the sides because they haven't improved from the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Vivo uses a better ultra wide like Oppo Find X7 Ultra. So I'll show you the shutter speed here with the main sensor, just to give you an idea how fast you can take photos of a moving object and prevent motion blur. So I'm going to move the camera as well. So see, the shutter speed has improved a lot, although the processing takes place in the background, but again, shutter speed has improved. And now I'm going to move the camera while taking shot. So you see a little bit of motion blur here, not as clear because I've been moving the camera. But again, I think this aspect Samsung improved a lot from S23 and S22 Ultra. I know you can use Camera Assistant app to improve further, but again, I was willing to see the default camera, how it gives what kind of output while moving, especially with pets and kids. You will be moving all the time. So we'll go and check the video now. Alright, this is the 1080p 38 frames per second main sensor video. So I'm going to run and show you the stabilization. Now the ultra wide. Alright, so this will be the 4K 30 frames per second. I'll use the main sensor to show you how the stabilization is. Alright, now this is the 4K 60 frames per second. I'm going to show you the stabilization first. And as you can see, 4K 60, you can switch lenses now, like iPhones and Vivos. Portrait mode now, using the 1 time, which is not a dedicated telephoto camera. This is 2 times. Most important is we want to see the edge detection. This is the 3 times. And then we'll switch to 5 times, but I have to move back a little bit just to make sure we get some information in the frame. And then we'll see. So the 5 times here, the background blur is very good. Edge detection is okay. There are a lot of misses here and there. We'll see the 3 times. I think 3 times is the best balance of everything, since this leaf is at the background, so probably it wasn't able to detect it, and then it blurred everything out. And then this is the 1 time. So I feel okay. This is like has a lot of room for improvement. But again, Vivo and Oppo, they are superior to the 5 times and 3 times telephoto camera for the edge detection and color temperature. This is like too vivid, too bright. Although you can change the color in post, But again, details and the edge detection you cannot change in the post. You can change the focus, area of focus, of course, but you cannot change in the post. So if you want to see the AI feature, I'll show you here. This is the photo just I took now, and I have to long press the home screen bar here, and then you have this feature coming up, circle to anywhere. So if I circle it here, then it will directly connect to the Google Lens, and you can see these things. It will show you what species is it, what object is it. We'll just do a Google search within the album, within the phone app. You don't have to Google search, you don't have to use Google Lens. The generative AI feature here, there are so many AI features, but I think I want to focus on this one because you can also use the AI to get a like a concise summary of a web page or a note. You can do the note taking as well using AI, but again, especially the photos, I think consumers will care about this. What you have to do here, take any photo, and then you just have to click on edit, and then press on the AI button, and then let's say you want to rotate the photo, and then you want it to be filled out by generative AI, in-device AI. It will take a while to process, and then what you will get, sometimes it's a hit and it's a miss. Sometimes you get a perfect cover up all the places with generative AI. Sometimes there will be a miss. So again, you see we were able to rotate the photo, but again the difference is here. So this is what I think has been very good, at least as of now. And then if you choose to keep it, you will see on the left corner the AI mark. But again, they are basic AI features Google Pixel also offers, but I really hope Samsung, they don't put a subscription feature for the AI after 2025, because that way it will be like, you're charging so much for the device and you are going to charge again for AI after 2025, probably because Samsung is using Google services. A lot of these AI features are from Google and they have to pay a fee to Google. Hope Samsung can work things out with Google. And I also would like to add a little bit about the night photo. I took these photos yesterday night, so again looks cleaner a little bit from if when not zoomed in, but once you zoom in, you will be able to see they lack a lot of details, unlike the Vivo. One-time sensor is still fine, decent, okay, but a lot of artifacts, mushy, or like oil painting, like once you zoom in. The clarity wise, not as good as a Vivo or an Oppo. But again, this is the ultra wide, again falls apart because of the same 12 megapixel sensor, not larger sensor, smaller aperture. And this is the 5 times, which is like nothing to talk about, nothing proud of it. All right, I'm not going to talk much about the S Pen here. The S Pen is a very good feature for Samsung flagships. It's very unique, but personally I haven't used it. But if you are using it, if you can find its purpose, utility, I think it's a very good tool that you don't find on any other flagship phones. So this brings value to phones, of course. But again, I feel if you're just buying a phone because you want to use this, then you have to think, are you going to use it for like anything? Like if you are more into e-signing, more into drawing, touch up using a phone, then okay, go for it. If not, I don't think this brings a lot more value to it. Of course, having it's whenever, you never know when you have to use it. It's a good thing to have, but again, I won't take this for like a deal breaker if you're going to choose any other phones. Let's say you want to go for Find X7 Ultra, Vivo X100 Pro, Xiaomi's or iPhones. So keep an open mind. All the flagships, like especially I feel now there's no point. You might be seeing a lot of videos on YouTube every single day, but again, I feel the camera improvements are not that drastic, like every 2 or 3 years. It's just very minor. So if you are holding onto a phone, keep it for 2-3 years. Don't spend your hard-earned money on phones just by seeing the YouTube videos and watching YouTube videos. You think that they have improved a lot. Yeah, they improve. They bring some more features. That's just marketing. But if you think your phone doesn't bring any value to it, like you are not using a phone for any business or anything, and you're just a 9-to-5 guy, like you have to work, and work has nothing to do with your phone. It's not bringing any money for you. Just don't buy phone, upgrade your phone every single year. So that's my take on it. One thing I would also like to let you know that Samsung doesn't have a dedicated Nearby Share now. So since Samsung uses Quick Share, their own proprietary software, so Nearby Share is already embedded into the Quick Share now. So once you try to share a photo, so you can use Quick Share, and you have dedicated, it has to be on the same account. So see, my Vivo phone shows up here, Techmatic Vivo. So you can click on it, and then it will be transferred to the Vivo phone, and I can show you here. You see, so it works. In short, what I have realized is this camera is pretty much the same, ultra wide, same 12, the main sensor 200 megapixel. Of course, there is AI effect. Over sharpening has been reduced. As you can see here, over sharpening was reduced by a lot. But again, because of the sensor not being big enough and also the processing, you see a lot of grains, especially in moderate to low lighting conditions. Like today, it's not a very well lit day. It's cloudy. So when I took photos of indoor shots, you saw a lot of grains. So same with the iPhone. Same with the iPhones, you have the same issue. You don't see a lot of, I have the iPhone, I can show you here. You see, you don't get a lot of details under low light once you take the photos in moderate to low lighting conditions, indoors or outdoors, because of the sensor size and the processing. You'll see a lot of grains, but with Vivo and Oppo and Xiaomi's, it is much better. So, but I don't know why, but still Google, if they are able to overcome the tensor issue, they come up with better chipset, I think Google will dominate about this AI and processing. Their processing is much superior to Samsung. iPhones and Samsung probably they don't care. They know they have the market share, especially the Gen Z. They all prefer iPhones. 80%, over 80% of Americans, Gen Zs, they use the iPhones, and it's just I think probably gives you a status, like more connected to a status symbol. Like you may be a rich person if you buy an iPhone. But again, if you enjoy any device will do. Doesn't matter, Android, Vivo, Oppo, Xiaomi, Samsung. But if I have to rate this device, this is like $1,300 in the US. If I have to rate this device, I would rate it less compared to the Vivo and also Oppo. I would even rate the iPhone a little more because you get 24 megapixel output from the primary sensor, and then it's a more superior processing, more clarity with the main sensor than the Samsung. And what for people who don't care about iOS, in the Western market, especially in US, you get a lot of carrier deals. Like with AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, you can get $1,000 trade-in with your old phone. Samsung was giving you $750 with your S24 Ultra and lots of freebies, $150 credit. So you get good deal. But in other markets like India, it's way pricier. It's more than 1,20,000, 30,000, something like that. Unless you get discounts, and then maybe after a few months, Samsung is known to lower their prices, or lots of discounts come up in other websites. Then probably it will be a good buy. And Samsung has not brought a lot of updates compared to S22 Ultra. If you don't care about your AI thing, please do not update. But if you really want a flat screen phone, really want a phone to be protected, if you're coming from S20 Ultra, S21 Ultra, okay, go ahead. You can go ahead with it. I think you'll be happy. But if you're coming from S23 Ultra, I would even say S22 Ultra, I would say you can go ahead with S24 Ultra. But coming from S23 Ultra, there's no point in upgrading this phone. If your market supports or gives you Vivo X100 Pro, go for it. It's a much better phone. This phone I'm using, it's a much better phone, much accomplished, much complete phone than the Samsung. But again, with curved screen. If you are happy with it, go for it. All right, that's all for now. I hope you like my video. Please like, subscribe, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.